Every name in the genealogy of Jesus is a story. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Perez, and then there is a name that does not belong. Tamar. Tamar, a Canaanite woman, a widow, a woman who disguised herself as a prostitute and seduced her own father-in-law. And Matthew, the gospel written for the most religious audience, puts her name in the genealogy of the Messiah. Why? Why would the Gospel of Matthew, the most Jewish of the Gospels, include a Canaanite woman whose story is so scandalous that most preachers skip it? Stick with me. Because once you understand who Tamar really was, and what her name actually means, you will realize that God does not work through the respectable. He works through the desperate. Let's start with the name. Tamar means date palm. In the ancient world, the date palm was a symbol of righteousness, resilience, and fruitfulness. The palm tree grows in harsh conditions. It stands tall. It produces sweet fruit. But there is another layer to this name that most people miss. The date palm cannot bear fruit alone. It requires another tree, a male tree, to pollinate it. Tamar's name is a prophecy. She would be fruitful, but she would have to fight for it. Like the palm tree, she would stand tall in the harshest conditions. She would be resilient when everyone else was broken. She would bear fruit when everyone said she was barren. Let's look at her story. The story of Tamar is placed right in the middle of the Joseph narrative. Just as Joseph is sold into slavery, the text abruptly shifts to Judah and Tamar. Why? Because the story of Joseph is about survival. The story of Tamar is about lineage. Judah got a wife for his firstborn and her name was Tamar. But was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Genesis 38:6-7. Tamar was a widow. According to the custom of levirate marriage, Judah's second son, Onan, was supposed to marry her and raise up offspring for his dead brother. But Onan was selfish. He spilled his seed on the ground, a deliberate act of rebellion against the duty of levirate marriage. And God put him to death as well. Now Judah had a third son, Shelah. But Judah was afraid. He thought, Shelah might die too, just like his brothers. So Judah told Tamar, "Remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up." Genesis 38:11. But Judah had no intention of giving Shelah to Tamar. Tamar was trapped. She was widowed, childless, living in her father's house, waiting for a promise that would never be fulfilled. She had been unlucky in marriage, and her father-in-law had ostracized her. She was forgotten. But Tamar was not passive. She heard that Judah was going to Timnah for the sheep shearing, a time of celebration. She took off her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, and sat at the entrance to a town on the road to Timnah. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, because her face was covered. He said, "Let me sleep with you," Genesis 38:16. And she said, "What will you give me?" Judah promised her a young goat from his flock. But Tamar was not just looking for payment. She was looking for security. She said, "Give me your seal, your cord, and the staff in your hand." Genesis 38:18. In the ancient world, a man's seal was his identity. It was his signature, his authority, his honor. By giving her his seal, Judah was giving her power. She slept with him. She conceived, and she disappeared. When Judah tried to send the young goat to retrieve his seal, the people said, "There has been no prostitute here." And Judah was humiliated. 3 months later, Judah heard that Tamar was pregnant. He was enraged. He said, "Bring her out, let her be burned." But Tamar had prepared. She sent a message to Judah. "I am pregnant by the man who owns these. Please identify whose seal, cord, and staff these are." The implication was clear: "I am pregnant by you." And Judah recognized his seal, his cord, and his staff, and he said, "She is more righteous than I, since I did not give her to my son Shelah." Genesis 38:26. What did he mean? He meant, "I failed. I broke my promise. I withheld my son. I left her in a hopeless situation. She had no choice but to take matters into her own hands. She is more righteous than I." Because Tamar did what she had to do to survive. and she did it without sinning. Tamar gave birth to twins, Perez and Zerah. The birth was extraordinary. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, there were twins in her womb. As she was giving birth, one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on his hand, saying, "This one came out first." But he pulled his hand back, and his brother came out. Then she said, "What a breach you have made for yourself." So he was named Perez. Genesis 38:27-29. The name Perez means breach or breaking through. Tamar broke through. She broke through the injustice. She broke through the silence. She broke through the margins. And her son, Perez, would become the ancestor of King David and ultimately the Messiah. The scarlet thread on Zerah's hand is a powerful symbol, a thread of redemption that runs through the entire Bible. Tamar's story is not just about survival, it is about salvation. Now, let's bring this all together. Tamar is one of only 5 women mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus. Why? Why would Matthew include a Canaanite woman who disguised herself as a prostitute? Because God's grace is scandalous. First, Tamar was a Canaanite. She was an outsider. She was not part of the covenant family, and yet God included her. Second, Tamar was a woman in a patriarchal society. She had no voice, no power, no authority, and yet God used her to bring forth the Messiah. Third, Tamar was desperate. She had been used, discarded, and forgotten, and yet God saw her. Tamar's story is a picture of the gospel. God works through the broken. God works through the forgotten. God works through the marginalized. And here is the deeper truth. Tamar prefigures the cross. Just as Tamar risked shame to secure life for future generations, Jesus endured the cross, despising its shame, to secure eternal life. But I have saved the most intriguing detail for last. Tamar's name, Tamar, means palm tree, and the palm tree is a symbol of righteousness. But here is the paradox. Tamar was not righteous because she was perfect. She was righteous because she was desperate. She did what she had to do to survive. She fought for justice. She stood up for what was right in God's eyes, and God honored her. Here is the question this story forces you to ask. What are you willing to risk to see God's promise fulfilled in your life? Tamar risked everything, her reputation, her life, her future, and God used her to bring forth the Messiah. You may not be a prophet, you may not be a king, you may not be a patriarch, but you have a story, and God is writing it. Tamar. The palm tree stands tall, the breach breaks through, and God's grace reaches the forgotten.